My name is Chris Daly. I've represented District 6, which is the central city, on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors for nearly 10 years. District 6 is somewhat sister districts with District 10, which is this district, the southeast part of San Francisco, because we're the two districts with the most significant pockets of poverty. And so a lot of the issues in District 6 and in District 10 around affordability and economic opportunity are very similar.
Okay, and I wanted to say that you did a really good job with the Tenderloin area. Like, from what I've known it to be like in 2003 to now, like you've done a pretty good job.
Thank you.
So the next question, I wanted to know, since you have affiliation with District 10, why have you been so outspoken about redevelopment in the Bayview Hunters Point?
Well, we have 11 members of the Board of Supervisors. Of course, a mayor as well, who's more powerful than all 11 supervisors combined. With that.
Thank you for the opportunity. We just want to say thanks.
All right. Are you guys going to be in the class? Or?
Yeah.
All right.
We are ready to go.
Good. Go up on time?
Yeah. Right.
That's all I ask. Thank you.
Thank you. You gonna pick us up from the work station?
On my bicycle?
I got that horse on that.
Why have you felt like why do you want to?
So basically we all 11 supervisors engage on all issues that are citywide. So when the issue of redevelopment came up initially in the shipyard, it was something that came before the Board of Supervisors, and so each member of the board had the opportunity to weigh in. And so over the years, I've been able to vote on many of the development proposals here in the southeast part of town, just like my colleagues from other parts of the city vote on development proposals within my district. Does that make sense? So basically, because of my job description, I'm asked to weigh in on projects like Lennar's Hunters Point and Candlestick Point development project. For me, when I make a decision like this, I want to hear from those who are most impacted by the development. And in a neighborhood that is so low income, where 90 some odd percent of the people living here wouldn't be able to afford a market rate unit, you have to take a look and see if a development project actually is going to benefit those in the surrounding neighborhood. When you hear from community members who are saying that the development is not going to benefit them, then I think that kind of moves you a little bit, and that's how I inform my engagement on the shipyard and Candlestick.
And how do you think Sophie Maxwell has handled her district and affairs like?
I think you should ask Sophie this question. We don't talk much about it between the two of us. But it seems like Sophie has decided that things are in bad shape in the Bayview, that there needs to be more opportunity, and that this is opportunity. I think that there hasn't been as much drilling down on the specifics of the proposal to see if this is real opportunity for the folks who are here in the Bayview now. I think that she's just decided that things need to change, and she just cast her lot early on with Lennar in the mayor's office and this development proposal, and kind of got caught in it. And a lot of folks in the community, I would say that the Bayview is probably pretty close to split down the middle on the proposal. And a lot of folks in this neighborhood are struggling with no economic opportunity, with crime, with aging infrastructure. They feel like something needs to happen, and they're willing to sign on to just about anything. And then you have the other half of the community that's drilled down to the specifics, looked at the affordability levels, looked at the fact that these construction jobs aren't going to be going to people in the neighborhood, and decided that this is not something that serves the neighborhood, it really is going to bring about gentrification.
Okay. The next question is, I understand that you have acquired new land in Treasure Island, and I have heard that Treasure Island is also a little toxic. It has some toxic areas. I wanted to know, what are you going to do to avoid, in terms of environmental concerns, what's happening with like redevelopment?
Well, we have not officially acquired the land at Treasure Island yet. You know, for me, I engaged Treasure Island the same way that I engaged, you know, the shipyard, you know, Hunters Point and Candlestead. You know, I went to, they happen to be my constituents because I represent Treasure Island, but I went to the folks living on Treasure Island and asked them what they needed, what would work for them, and the main call, or the clarion call, if you will, from island residents was, you know, we want to be able to stay on the island through redevelopment. We want to have, you know, our rents, you know, not increased, and you know, we don't want to get evicted. And so those were terms that I negotiated. Some very difficult late night negotiations with, you know, the same project sponsor, Lennar. And I think that there were a lot of other issues as well, including environmental concerns. And I worked with, you know, environmental groups who were engaged on the issue to talk about, you know, specific remediation plans and strategies within the term sheet. I mean, now that's coming up for, you know, more significant votes in terms of the CEQA document, and then ultimately transfer of land from the Navy, and you know, the votes on, you know, redevelopment, and you know, titles, trust, and various issues. But the difference for me in terms of the genesis of Treasure Island and the genesis of Shipyard is that I went out to those most affected, you know, from the get-go, and made sure that was included in the development.
Next question. Can you describe the process that you've had to go through in terms of the Bayview Hunters Point with all the EIR meetings? Like, for the people that haven't been to these meetings, like, what has it been like for the supervisors, and has it been like annoying, or this is just something that happens? Like, what could have, I guess, like, what could have been different, or like, can you just kind of give us a summary of what happened?
Well, I mean, you know,
Just a bunch of meetings.
I mean, ultimately, you know, it takes 6 votes out of 11 at the Board of Supervisors to get something done. And so you have lots of long hearings, but the truth is that what ultimately is decided by, you know, that 5th and 6th vote on the Board of Supervisors. So for me, as a pretty vocal opponent of the plan, you know, I wasn't involved in those negotiations or those discussions. Those largely happened with Supervisor David Chu, who ended up casting, you know, the 6th vote against, you know, some of the, you know, more sweeping amendments that I had suggested, and that Supervisor, you know, Ross Mercarini had suggested as you know, 2 of the more outspoken critics of some of the details of the plan. And so, I mean, I think, you know, unfortunately, you know, the public input, or the public comment, especially in the late stages of those hearings, you know, you have votes that are decided, you know, for all intents and purposes, that are decided before those hearings happen. So, you know, they're largely a formality, and I think that's why, you know, sometimes you have decision makers, you know, frustrated by, you know, lengthy hearings when, you know, you already know, you can already say, you know, what the votes are going to be. It seems like a bit of a waste of everyone's time. It shouldn't be like that. That's not the way that the process is designed to work, but that's, you know, in reality, that's what happens, and I think that's, you know, maybe where your question comes from.
Okay, so what would you suggest? Like, would you say that the people have a voice? Like, were their voices heard, or not? And do you think it was for the best at this point? How is it looking for the people that were speaking out against it? Like, do you think they're going to get any?
Well, I mean, look, in the end, it was a 10-1 vote. With that said, the votes to look at are, my motion on increasing the affordability requirements, which was a 5 to 6 vote. Votes around the bridge over Yosemite Slough, which were 5 to 6 votes. I mean, the procedural votes or the votes on specific items within the plan that's actually could have converted the plan into a decent plan. They were divided pretty evenly, 6 to 5 at the board, and ultimately the final vote, 10 to 1, was I was the only one who basically doesn't care about political repercussions. So I'm comfortable going ahead and making that final dissenting vote. With that said, as I understand it, it's going into the judicial side in terms of lawsuits, and we'll see what what the courts have to say. But in terms of the political process, unfortunately, Lennar, the district supervisor, and the mayor's office, and organized labor in San Francisco as a coalition is very strong, and the opposition, which is very grassroots, from this neighborhood and from citywide progressive groups, just wasn't strong enough politically to carry the day at the board.
Okay. Last question. So what do you think, as far as like health concerns go and like environmental racism and gentrification, would you call like what's going on in Hunters Point like a disaster? Like, is it like an emergency? Like, how like serious do people need to take it? Because from what I hear from people is that they're getting cancer, they're getting asthma, like, and some of this stuff can be avoided, and it could have been avoided. So,
well, I serve on the Bay Area Quality Management District and have for over 9 years. And, the professional staff there, know that the Bayview Hunters Point, is one of the region's, 5 or 6 hotspots in terms of, poor air quality, environmental contamination, and the cancer rates and the asthma rates in this community reflect that. And we also know that it is a neighborhood that is a lower income neighborhood and primarily a community of color. And so it is, the classic definition of environmental racism. In terms of, the role of this development project in Lennar, there's certainly been a lot of controversy over the major grading that they were doing at the shipyard in Parcel A in terms of asbestos-laden dust that was kicked up, and they regularly exceeded the levels that we had set as not to go over levels, and there were some work stoppages, probably not enough. There was the whole first many months of the major grading. They didn't even have their monitors turned on, and that resulted in one of the largest fines ever issued for that type of thing at the Air District. I didn't think the fine was large enough, and argued that internally at the Air District, but it was a significant fine for Lennar not adhering to their dust mitigation plan. And so, these issues are real. I think that as the development moves forward on more contaminated parcels, I think that more issues are likely to arise. And there's also the issue of what the Navy and the EPA is willing to do in terms of cleanup or remediation before transfer the land to the city. The EPA claims they're going to do the right thing. The city claims they're going to do the right thing, and yet they've always claimed that. And people here, disproportionately low income, disproportionately people of color, are dying at increased, rates, cancer and other conditions. So, I think that there's certainly cause for concern.
Awesome. Thank you. You did really good.
Okay, good.
All right. I really appreciate it.
All right.
And